Hey, did you know that the melting snow behind me can tell us a lot about why the Midwest is shaped the way that it is? The Midwest has gently rolling landscapes that are relatively flat. This is because of the glaciers that shape the landscape, and they leave these clues behind. Snow gets compressed into ice and forms these glaciers that covered the continent in the upper Midwest. Once the climate started to warm, the glaciers started to melt. Snow, like glaciers, can be very dirty and covered in sediment. So, where does all the sediment go once the snow and the ice melt? Sometimes it gets dropped off in piles by the glacier, and we call that glacial till. Once the glacier's gone, the sediment just sits on the soil surface. Sometimes the sediment is carried away from the glacier by the meltwater, and we call that glacial outwash. Water is incredibly powerful at carrying material and shaping our landscapes. Fast-moving water carries more particles and bigger particles than slow-moving water. Once the water slows, the sediment settles out. Sometimes blocks of ice get separated from the larger ice sheet, and the water pools and forms a lake. So glaciers provided us the sediment that is the basis of soils in the Midwest. And water is what is carving the landscape and shaping the landscape. Since the Midwest landscape is so young, we just haven't had enough time for water to carve the landscape. And that's why we have so many lakes in the region. You might think that the Midwest is boring, because our soils are so young, amazingly fertile, and we have thick glacial deposits of sediment. But the landscape is far from boring, especially if you get to see the landscape underground, the soil. There's amazing things that we can learn from looking at the landscape deeper than the surface. So next time you're looking at the snowmelt, think that about 12,000 years ago, these same exact processes were shaping the landscape that we see in front of us today.